We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth. A network of courage. A network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, Aura the Informationalist.
Who's the master?
Just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
Grand rising, peace and greetings, peace and blessings to all the brothers and sisters around the world. This is All the Informationalist, and you're now tuned in to the Network of Awareness. And it's Most High Monday, and I want to give appreciation and gratitude to my Creator, my Heavenly Father, the Most High, and His Heavenly Son, the Messiah, for giving me wisdom, giving me knowledge, giving me charity, understanding, and most of all, waking me up for this grand rising on Most High Monday. Because nothing's guaranteed once we go to sleep. But I did wake up today, very much awake. I was very much awake last night. And something in my spirit compelled me to watch the Super Propaganda Bowl. Normally I watch it just for the halftime show. But something in my spirit said, turn it on. Turn on Fox News or Fox Sports. And I watched 2 hours of events leading to the Super Propaganda Bowl. And boy, did I see so much propaganda. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some information in the description box, because I took information about propaganda from Wikipedia, and I'm going to place it into the description box, plus the artwork that I put together. So, while I do that, I'm going to play some music. So, let's get into that. And while we're playing this song to start the Most High Monday episode off, I'll do that. In the meantime, I invited one of my retired brothers, Brother Aban, to be on this show with me, also known as Brother Allen. I was either going to call him or Kakam. And I decided, you know what, let me call Kakam for the, when we talk about the satanic ritual that was performed on stage by Rihanna. I call him Rihanna, but some people call her Rihanna. All right, so we're gonna have Brother Aban on the show today in just a moment. So, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoy the show, because I'm going all out. I'm not holding anything back for this one, because I saw a lot of fuckery. Okay, I saw a lot of witchcraft. I saw a lot of crafty fuckery for this particular Super Bowl event. And we're going to talk about it here on the Network of Awareness, because awareness is like damn near like oxygen these days. You better have it, because if not, it can cause you to fall to destruction. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I also got the little man here with me. I got Link in the house, my dog, who's a king boxer mixed with pit bull. And he's looking at me like, I know we're going to go out for a walk sometime this morning, right? Or you're going to be talking shit on the mic all day. So, with that being said, let's play this song. I'm gonna play a Take One song. All right. Now, I'm gonna have some artists coming on the show very soon. But any artists that want to have their music played on my show, I only charge $75 for 5 straight plays throughout the week, and then your song just stays in rotation throughout the episodes from here on out after the 5 days, right? And it just stays in rotation, and your music gets to get distributed internationally. So if anybody's interested in having their music played on the Network of Awareness, feel free to send it in. Send me an email. And then, of course, I'll send you to my PayPal link, which is also in the donation link on the website. But I am building a new website. That's why I'm not really promoting it too much right now. So, with that being said, let's play the song by Brother Take One featuring Yafi, produced by Demon Slayer. So my apologies for not adding you in, Brother Barnabas. But this track was actually produced by Brother Demon Slayer, and some of you know him as Barnabas. So let's get it popping.
Hold on, be calm. There's a lot for you and a lot for me. Hold on, be strong. It's close to be, oh yes indeed. This world is cold and it's cursed, ain't no fixing that. This world is sold for the gold, I ain't feeling that. I'd rather wait on Elohim or King of Kings who fills my life with better
check
things.
My brother, keep fighting daily. The world is mighty shady, it isn't just kinda crazy. Amazing, we still here because Abba has shed his mercy. Messiah shed his blood for us even though we ain't worthy. But the mercy, I gotta reiterate for the second time, cause if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be alive. We all been brought at a price, we should be shouting for Christ. You're the way, you're the truth, and you're the life. What would I do without you? This world, it makes me sick, but there you are to comfort me through it all. My medicine. Don't get worried or get discouraged, it's in the plan. The day will come when we won't be under curses of man. But for now, it's daily practice, dashing for that penny. The enemy's looking fast to snatch it, that's a massive win. He's laughing, grinning, racking many. I pray you don't lose it. It's the season, bigger demons. I pray that you slash your many.
Don't be calm. There's a lot for you and a lot for me. Hold on, be strong. It's close to be, oh yes indeed. This world is cold and it's cursed, ain't no fixing that. This world is sold for the gold, I ain't feeling that. I'd rather wait on Elohim or King of Kings who fills my life with better
Father,
things.
teach me your way so I can walk in your truth. Unite my heart to feel your name and let it straight since the youth. I never thought I'd see the day I make a change, so it's proof that your spirit alive and well. I love the food it produce, a living testimony. I lean on Messiah when my feet get tired. Where is words in my heart, not on my attire. This world cold, bundle up or you might expire. Learned how to trust in Elohim when my vision cloudy. I know he got me, weight get heavy, he spot me. Give me strength and endurance, his word be my assurance. Don't stop walking, keep your head up, it might get tough to be strong, never give up, we at the end, it's wartime till the day is stopped. Draw your sword for the battle, can't have no souls lost. Look, we gon' keep the faith, he gon' go before us. I pray he order our steps so we can stay the course. Yeah.
Hold on, be calm. There's a lot for you and a lot for me. Hold on, be strong. It's close to be, oh yes indeed. This world is cold and it's cursed, ain't no fixing that. This world is sold for the gold, I ain't feeling that. I'd rather wait on Elohim or King of Kings who fills my life with better things.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
So welcome to Most High Monday. All right, so we got the artwork up there that says Super Propaganda Bowl, lights, camera, distractions. And that's all this serves. But this serves more. This event is so huge, man. I think it's getting a lot less viewers than it used to because of the way people are waking up spiritually. But then again, it's not, because for some reason, even us brothers and sisters that know that this is a big sham, know that a lot of this is just a big stage, we still like to watch it for some reason. And it's one of those things where it's so sensationalized that even if you're in this faith, it's like somebody like myself, you're going to want to watch it just to see what the latest, greatest bullshit propaganda is out there. And if you want to learn about propaganda, watch the Super Bowl. Watch the events leading to the Super Bowl on the same day. Man, watch the events that happened during the first or the weeks heading to it, right after the championships are played. I mean, this is a really huge event. All right. So before I get into this, let's introduce and welcome as my co-host for today, Brother Aban. Shalom, brother. Most High in Christ. Bless you. And welcome to the show.
Hey, Shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless you as well. And I'm happy to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to partake in this scriptural look at the propaganda bowl of bowls, I guess I would call it.
Oh, just to let you know, we're not going into any scriptures today.
Oh, okay. Well, I still might have some.
Okay, no, if you want to bring out scriptures, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
I'm not bringing out any scriptures. You know, I'm actually want to do an episode on the Council on Christ Relations podcast in regards to that event with Rihanna. But if you want to bring out scriptures, you can. Yep. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the actual description that I put in here. This is what I got from Wikipedia. The Super Bowl, the Super Propaganda Bowl. Propaganda is communication that is primarily used to influence or persuade an audience to further an agenda in a way. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm over here messing this up. Further an agenda which may not be objective and may be selectively presenting facts to encourage a particular synthesis or perception, or using loaded language to produce an emotional rather than a rational response to the information that is being presented. That's what the Super Bowl is. Propaganda can be found in news, journalism, government, advertising, entertainment, education, and activism, and is often associated with material which is prepared by governments as part of war efforts, political campaigns, health campaigns, revolutionaries, big business, ultra-religious organizations, the media, and certain individuals such as soapboxers. Boy, if that is not accurate, I don't know what that is.
The definition for ages.
Oh, brother, and then let me look up the definition. Definition of propaganda: information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. The second one says a committee of cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church responsible for foreign missions, founded in 1622 by Pope Gregory. Interesting. Just a couple of years after 1619. Now, there's so much to talk about here. I mean, literally, and I hope I get to cover it all because I took some notes down, and I was going to do a video, but it would just take too long to show you all the bullshit that goes on at this event. But one thing in particular, when I was reading the description from Wikipedia that I put in the description box for the show, and brothers and sisters, if you want to join the show, make your comments, ask your questions in the chat room. We're live on Spreaker. So anybody that wants to ask a question, tune into the Spreaker chat room, okay? And make your comments there, because that's the only place that you can make comments during the live broadcast. So with that being said, one of the biggest things that the Super Bowl, brother, is really, really good for when it comes to propaganda is patriotic attitude. It's all about being patriot. It's all about being a venerator of the United States of America, being a venerator of the flag, to worship the flag, to worship America. You know, it's very much this type of attitude and propaganda that is pushed when it comes to the Super Bowl. Let me see if I can find a good theme song there.
Oh, I know which one you're going to play.
America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America, fuck yeah, freedom is the only way, yeah, terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to
America, fuck yeah. That's what the Super Propaganda Bowl is all about. America, America. America's so great. America this, the troops, the military, the flag. They did this whole presentation / little mini film about the flag, and they had music playing, and the guy was talking about the flag, and they showed the troops folding the flag, and what a great time to do this, because this is probably going to go under my emotional hypnosis series. Now that I think about it. Yeah, this is an emotional hypnosis series episode.
Mm-hmm.
But what better time to get people to be programmed to believe in this bullshit than during the Super Bowl, when everybody's coming together, consuming alcoholic beverages, like beer, and listen, there's nothing wrong with drinking a beer, because I like a beer from time to time. People are consuming liquor, beer, wine, whatever. They're consuming alcoholic beverages. They're stuffing their face with a shitload of processed food most of the time, unless, it's a household that eats somewhat healthy. It puts you in a good state, because you're usually hanging out with the people you want to hang out with, like your family and your friends. So of course you're going to have a good time, especially if you haven't seen some of your friends and family for a while. You get to catch up, get to shoot the shit and all of that. So everybody's in a good mood. So what better time to put people under emotional hypnosis? Okay. I got so much to say about this, but this event had so much of this patriotic stuff. And it's like, are you shitting me? Like, you mean to tell me with the vaccine, with the amount of people dying, which we're going to get to Damar Hamlin. There's so much to cover, bro. Matter of fact, let me not forget that I have a co-host today. So, brother,
no.
What do you need? What do you want to say up to this point in regards to the propaganda when it comes to the military and our attitude, our diplomatic attitude, and patriotism towards the United States or shenanigans of America?
They want the citizenry to be patriotic to this country, and the leaders of this place, I guess you would call it, they're not patriotic. They do things that are very unpatriotic. So they don't hold themselves to the standard that they established for us. And it's interesting that you mentioned the folding of the flag. That's a ceremony after the burial of a military, any military personnel, and especially if they're killed in action. At the funeral, they actually fold the flag up and give it to the family, and as a marker or something tangible to remind them of the sacrifice to the system that they've set up for us. But like I said, they're not patriotic. It's just crazy. And as far as the Super Bowl goes, I just want to read one thing, because when you first told me what the topic was, I thought of bread and circuses. And, the internet is undefeated, and it attributed this quote to Julius Caesar.
Yes.
But it's actually not. I looked it up, and there's several things, but I'm just going to read a couple lines out of Wikipedia. This phrase originates from Rome in Satire 10 of the Roman satirical poet Juvenal. In context, the Latin panem et circenses, bread and circuses, identifies the only remaining interest of a Roman populace that no longer cares for its historical birthright of political involvement. So the citizenry is no longer interested in the policy and the direction that the kingdom is going in. It just wants to be entertained and fed. And this entertainment and feeding that happens at this event, it feeds into this. Okay. And I want to read one more line from this. In a political context, the phrase means to generate public approval, not by excellence in public service or public policy, but by diversion, distraction, or by satisfying the most immediate or base requirements of a populace, by offering a palliative, meaning something that satisfies, for example, food or entertainment. Okay. Right. And that's exactly what's going on in this situation.
Right.
Forget the fact that there's foreign aircraft coming in. Forget the fact that government worked with big tech to take away people's free speech rights. Forget the fact that they're actively hiding events like an act of war, blowing up the pipeline and all of this stuff and hiding it. And, until after the election, and it's just a bunch of madness going on. But people congregate to the Super Bowl because that's supposed to be what fixes everything. And it's just insane that they've dumbed us down as a society so much that, we just trust in or react to anything they show us. Like you said at the beginning, when you was reading in the description, selective language, selective presentation of events, and narratives of events, to mold us into a certain way, even though things are going on in real time as they push this stuff that are absolutely contrary to and debunking what's going on. But people refuse to wake up from it and live properly,
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you brought up about the folding of the flag, that it's a ceremonial ritual for any type of soldier that dies. Because that's how we used to start our Boy Scouts meetings. We used to fold the flag. When I was in Boy Scouts, we would fold the flag, throw up our 3 fingers, and do our Scouts honor oath and all that, nonsense. I'm so happy. You know, I'm so happy that I got a great education about this government and this country and the way it works as a kid, because I got to learn a lot. And I completely forgot about the folding of the flag. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because destruction is near for this country. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that type of talk. Oh, here he goes with the fear mongering. Yeah. If you want to look at it that way, it's just the truth. You really think that the Most High is going to allow this bullshit to continue to exist for much longer? It's insane, especially when it comes to the attack on children. No. A lot of people think the Most High is not real, man. And that's, boy, are people in for a rude awakening. And rude is being polite about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the Super Bowl, let me just touch on a couple of things that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
There was this artist. He's like an R&B singer, you know, another, you know, kind of gay / straight. I don't know what the hell he was.
Androgynous, the merging.
No, he wasn't androgynous. I mean, the brother looked like a brother, but he just, the way he was dancing, you know, doing some Michael Jackson moves. Of course, throwing the Baphomet up, throwing the devil horns up. Everybody throws the devil horns up in these programs. It's like becoming so common now. And people are just so ignorant to this. Like they just, they see it and they don't want to recognize it for what it is. But the brother was doing a performance way before the Super Bowl. It was one of those pre-performance episodes or broadcasts. Like I think it was like an hour and a half before the show. And he's basically like, how can I put this? He's dancing, right? On stage. He's doing his Michael Jackson spins and all that. And then when he gets to the front of the stage, there's all these Boston Dynamic robots. You know, those dog robots? And they're dancing with him in unison. I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, wow. And it was so synchronized. Like the robots were moving, doing push-ups, jumping. I mean, wow, the stuff that these robots can do, not just one, but what they can do together, all at the same time. See, I was seeing everything with my spiritual eyes yesterday. And when I saw those robots, I was like, oh, here they go. They're slowly but surely pushing that propaganda to be more accepting, because the more you see them, the more you're going to accept them when they're walking around in the streets, asking you for your ID. And then when you don't show your ID, there's going to be that gun that's going to put a laser beam right across your chest. And it's going to say you have 10 seconds to comply. 10, 9, 8, you know? And you'll be like, are you kidding? I don't even bring my ID with me.
And, you know, that people think that you bugging, but you're actually not.
Yeah. I can give a shit what people think about these days, brother, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
But, you know, people just don't want to believe it. But they actually have NYPD police dogs. And I forget where it was, San Francisco. They voted to allow the robots to have the power to make the decision to murder the assailant in certain conditions. So, and people think that this isn't going to come to fruition. They've been showing these robots, the dog ones and the humanoid ones.
Where do you remember that from? Because you're a movie buff like me. Where's that from?
iRobot.
No. iRobot is like, it's a carbon copy of propaganda. But you don't remember the first two movies that first came out really pushing this agenda? I'll refresh your memory.
Yeah.
RoboCop.
Yes.
RoboCop, if you remember, not only the first one, but the second one where they had that prototype, they were supposed to be more advanced than RoboCop. And they're doing a presentation in a conference room with all the corporate oligarchs with the board.
Yeah.
And they're doing a presentation to test it, and it winds up shooting one of the board members.
Yeah.
And killing them right there. And then they have to shut it down, and they all like worry. This is real. This is why I say Hollywood is the satanic door to our reality. It's the doorway to show you everything that's coming. They don't lie. They just show you the lie, or should I say, they show you the truth in a lying way, right? Because that's what actors do. Actors pretend to be something that they're not, but they make it look real as all hell. They make it look real. Because sometimes these actors get so caught up in their roles, you can't tell the difference. I really thought that Al Pacino was Cuban. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I say that to say this, is that when I saw those Boston Dynamic robots, that was just one of many of the propaganda agenda visuals that we got to see. Another thing, before I forget, was whenever they have these types of events, they push a lot of racism, but they push it with that loaded language, and they skew your perceptions about it because they're big proponents of and racism. Matter of fact, it said it on the field. We need to end racism and all this, right? We need to come together. But what they're really doing is they're pushing the idea that racism does exist. Like they want you to continue to feed that propaganda. And one of the ways that they do it, they always say, oh, the first African-American quarterback to play in the Super Bowl, the first African-American quarterback to win. Yesterday, it was the first time in history 2 African-Americans are quarterbacks playing in the same Super Bowl. And they were talking about the one brother, and then they were talking about, what's the other quarterback's name? Patrick Mahomes. Now, Patrick Mahomes, back in the days, would have been called a mulatto because his mother is a so-called white woman and his father's a so-called black man or African-American. But I found it interesting that they called him African-American. They threw that in there, and then they threw the other brother in as an African-American. And if this was 30, 40, 50 years ago, they would have called them 2 Negro American quarterbacks. And it's all bullshit. Negro, African-American, black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, Guyanese, Japanese, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all of it. I'm sick of it, quite frankly. You know, to the point now where if somebody asks me what I am, I'm going to tell them exactly what I am. I'm a man of the Most High. Matter of fact, I'm a child of the Most High, trying to do manly things while I'm in this realm. But I'm just a babe when it comes to the Most High. I'm infantile in this knowledge and truth. Because we are just spiritual beings having a physical experience. And I think that because of the ego, people don't want to accept that. People want to look at them with that pride. They want to look at themselves with pride. Oh, I'm Negro, you know? I'm the first man.
Spanish for black, dude.
Or I'm Latino, or whatever it is. But they push that propaganda hard so that you can continue to endorse the nonsense, endorse the lie. So when you're watching this with your family under the emotional hypnosis, I'm pretty sure that the moment they set that on the broadcast, people are like, yeah, that's right. We got 2 brothers on there. For the first time in history, we're making progress.
And that goes back to the bread and circuses. They'll give you something appearance-wise, but they won't bring out stuff that's behind the curtain. Like in 2021 when the NFL was denounced for using racist criteria to avoid paying Black retirees in the concussion settlement. And this one former player, Ken Jenkins, said, "This is classic systemic racism. Just because I'm Black, I wasn't born with fewer brain cells. But you know what? To fix that, we going to sing the unvoted for Black national anthem before the game. And we're going to big up the fact that it's 2 Black quarterbacks, and Black is this and Black is that."
Right.
It reminds me of the CB4 movie when, after the group broke up for a while, Alan Payne's character came out with that song. "I'm Black, y'all. I'm Black, y'all. I'm blickety black, y'all. I'm blacker than black with black on blackety black, y'all." You know, what you standing in the studio chanting that, what does it have to do with real life? But the thing is, they'll point out how much they aren't racist.
Yes.
And
yes, exactly.
They have a track record of being racist from their outset decades ago all the way to the present. Okay. So, but since everybody's high off of beer and the hormones in the chicken wings, whatever. You know,
let me tell you something.
Pay attention to the policy or, you know, to anything that might be detrimental to us. We're just going to be satisfied with the surface requirements that they put out for us.
Brother, real quick, I just want to say something to what you're saying, because I agree. But what they're really doing, it's not even so much that when they say they're ending racism and all that, yeah, that's part of the propaganda. But what they're really protecting when they're doing this to the melanated brothers that play for them, that make up the damn near, 70%, 75, 80% of the NFL is melanated men. What they're really protecting, though, when they do this, is they're protecting the white privilege in America. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a twofold of witchcraft, because on one end, they're loaded with the language, and they're that controlled opposition to say, yeah, we got to end racism, but that they keep focusing on the illusion of race by saying first African this, that. But then they're also manipulating the so-called white man and woman that's heavily invested in this, and they're protecting this thing called white privilege through the NFL by making it seem like there is a difference. Also making it seem like, well, white people are not so bad because we're making progress. We're coming together. And through football, we can do anything. We always can come together through football. So it's just a lot of witchcraft in this, because when people are under this emotional hypnosis, they'll accept anything, especially under the influence of the spirits. Let's not talk about the fact that there could be other drugs being consumed during Super Bowl, but primarily it's alcohol. And what is alcohol allowing to happen when it's consumed heavily? It allows for those spiritual entities to come in and influence and have some type of, power over the host, being the spiritual being having the physical experience. And it's just crazy. Hey, brother, why don't you take it from here? I'm going to my dog wants to leave the studio.
Okay.
All right.
All right. And I just wanted to go and there was a couple scriptures I wanted to bring out. The one is Colossians 2. And because it fits right in with this, Colossians 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. So this nonprofit organization, aka tax-free, but the players have to pay taxes, though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
This nonprofit organization has this philosophy. They present this pontification of window dressing, so to speak, but it's really to no profit. What good did letting Colin Kaepernick kneel do for the people that were getting beat up and killed by the police? Actually, it's still happening. So it didn't stop it. But this is basically a political campaign to impress upon people, especially our people, to make us think that this business entity is actually not racist, and is actually anti-racist and going to do good things for Black people. But once you're retired from them and you're Black, they don't really give a crap about you, and they got called out on it. So it's a philosophy and it's vain deceit. We know deceit is, like a fake out, what is that? What did Floyd Mayweather call it when he did it to, what's the name, a check hook? Let you come in, duck out the way, and boom. But deceit is a lie. But what is vanity? It's something that is vain, empty, or valueless. Valueless. The things they're doing don't have any value, don't add value, and all they do is take away your time and your mind state when you follow after them. And it's after the tradition of men, the rudiments of the world, because what? They bring in the rudiments of the world, the alcohol, the terrible, food, the partying, all kinds of other partying that people probably would throw up if they actually knew about. The people getting flown in for these parties and all that other stuff. It's just something that spoils us and is really, really not good for us.
I agree.
Yep.
Let's talk about.
I'm gonna let out my dog too. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's talk about fanaticism and the fanatic. I saw a lot of fanatics at the Super Bowl yesterday, and it seems like there's fanatics with pretty much all sports, and two of the biggest ones happen to be football and football. Football is soccer. Football is football in America. And it's just interesting how out of all the sporting events, from baseball to tennis to hockey to basketball, all have fanatics, but there are none like the ones that are in soccer and the ones that are in football here in America, because soccer is an international sport. And it's insane, the level of devotion that they have. What does fanaticism mean? Fanatic outlook or behavior, especially exhibited by excessive enthusiasm, unreasoning zeal, or wild and extravagant notions on some subject. Woo, wee, yay. I mean, the level of fanaticism where people just go out of their minds over a freaking game. And it's like, like they go all out, man. I've seen people go all out at their house. I have family members that probably went all out because I know that my cousin's husband is a big time Eagles fan. I was talking to Brother Ernie yesterday about how when I lived in Sarasota, Florida, because I lived in Sarasota, Florida for a year and a half. And when I was living out there, I used to go to the Miller's Ale House to go hang out. And every Sunday when I would go, when it was football season, the Philadelphia Eagles fans had a whole section in the restaurant. Yep. I'm talking about 10 tables sectioned off. Everybody's got their jerseys on. They got little banners, hats, bells, whistles. I mean, you name it, they had it. And they were loud in Sarasota, Florida, mind you. Okay? Because there's Philadelphia, the Philadelphia fan base is very strong. I mean, very strong. And I thought it was insane that they had this whole place sectioned off. And I was going to go out yesterday just to kind of witness, because sometimes I like to go out for these types of events to see the psychosis of America, to see what my reality is looking like right now. And it's always a dreadful experience, to be honest with you, to see the level of stupidity. But because I do have empathy and I walk, or at least try to, I try to the best way I can every day to walk in that spirit and life that Christ did. But it's challenging because if you're not strong spiritually, you start to lose hope in what you're seeing, because it's quite disturbing to see the level of devotion that people have to things that don't matter, that don't serve them anything. It just distracts them. And this government, along with the powers that shouldn't be, know this. They know it all too well. And it's something that I've seen so many times in households where people just go all out. They spend so much money for an event at their home for a couple of hours because they're so into their teams. And it's not their team, right? Like Brother Bond, like, it's not your team. Do you own the team? You know what I mean? Because I used to be a Giants fan, and I used to remember, like, oh, that's my team. What's your team? My team is the Giants. Oh, what's your team? The Packers. What's your team? The Cowboys. The Cowboys there's another one that got fans all over the place. But that's not your team. That's not my team. I don't own the New York Giants. I'm not cutting out checks to the players. So why we say that? It's that fanaticism. It's that devotion to something based on the propaganda programming that we've received and been indoctrinated with since children. Because a lot of times our parents will pass that on to us. And what's crazy is that even though I was named after Reggie Jackson, my father named me after, my father is he's a big time Yankees fan. Let's just put that out there. Mm-hmm. Now, my father didn't raise me, but, when I got old enough, I found out why my name is Reggie, and it's because of Reggie Jackson. And what's funny is that a lot of my family on my father's side look like Reggie Jackson. But what's interesting about that is that even though my father didn't raise me, and my mom, my mom didn't push anything on me. My mom was more of a parent that was kind of absent emotionally. Mm-hmm. And she just made sure that she took care of things when it came to food, clothing, and making sure that I have a good time getting into certain things. So my mother was more present financially than emotionally. So nobody pushed baseball. But because I lived in the Bronx and I lived around nothing but so-called Black and Hispanic people, baseball was a huge thing. And I became a Yankee fan. I wasn't too fond of the Mets. but I became a Yankee fan. And then slowly but surely, I was never a fanatic to any sport. I think the only sport that I was somewhat fanatic about was track. And that was only because I was running it. So I was very much involved. It became my life. And when I think about how, as children, we are indoctrinated with this, just like many of us with our parents are indoctrinated into the word. But depending on how we're indoctrinated in the word, it could take us into a whole different direction. And it's the same thing with football, because football is a very aggressive sport. So when you are being programmed into it, it winds up programming you when it comes to your character, when it comes to the way you see life. Like, I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, brother, and then you can take it. Is a lot of these kids, when they're introduced to football, Pop Warner and all that stuff, what's one of the biggest things that the boys get taught? Boys and men don't cry. Right?
Yep.
A kid gets hurt, damn near probably has a concussion. Get up. What you doing? Stop being a you know what. Stop being a B or a P.
Yep.
Get
Walk
up.
it off.
Walk it off. Stop being a sucker. You know? And listen, there's a certain level of, that's a good thing sometimes, because you can't coddle your kids.
Yep.
You got to let them be. But the indoctrination within football is too much. It's overly obsessive with that. And too much of anything is not a good thing. You could drink too much water and die. Okay? So too much of anything is not good for you. When you have this characteristic, like you don't have no empathy, it's like you have this rigid shell. A lot of times it's because sports like this that you were raised up in, that you wind up not having empathy, because having empathy makes you look like a sucker. And these types of indoctrinations of programming, when it comes to the psyche of our children, really messes them up by the time they reach the ages of 12 or 14. So go ahead, take it from there, brother, because I got so much to say about this damn propaganda bowl.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you were talking about the fanatic and how that stuff starts from the beginning, from the youth. You watching, games with your pops or your brothers and, stuff like that, or their friends and all of this, and then you get into playing sports as a kid. And what happened with me is, growing up, I was a Buffalo Braves fan, but they sold the team. Actually, one of the stupidest things you could ever do as a team is bring Moses Malone, the great underrated, overlooked trainer of Hakeem Olajuwon, Moses Malone, in for I think a day, and then trade him off, and then eventually sold the team. So that's one team that was gone. And then the Philadelphia 76ers in the 80s. I used to watch basketball with my brother. He was a big Phillies fan, a 76ers fan rather, and I like Dr. J, and he used to tell me some of the stuff that Dr. J used to do, because when he was in his prime, he was in the ABA, and there was very, very little film on him. And he was like dunking on people, but his head was behind the backboard because he went baseline. And, his head would be behind the backboard. He's dunking on people, all kind of trick shots. And he was doing this stuff naturally, And, they had all of these great players, and the general manager basically destroyed the team. Traded away the number 1 draft pick. And I think Cleveland, drafted a big man, and he ended up being a bust, but they had big men, so they destroyed the team. And I was like, why would they do that? And then the ever losing Bills. And then in the 90s with the Chicago Bulls, I'm enjoying this team. They playing good and everything. And then this dude that is hardly ever on camera destroys the team. Just destroys the team.
Right.
Then I'm like, why? Yeah, like you said, this ain't my team. And then also with the Bills in the 90s, we know what happened to them in the 90s, 4 straight Super Bowls, 4 straight losses. Interesting. But the thing was, during those seasons, I worked third shift, and a lot of the games that they had during those seasons were Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night football games. So the second shift would call off the entire day.
Yes.
Just to go see the game. And the guys on day shift didn't want to stay over and fill in the spots because they were going to watch the game. And I'm like, listen, I'll come in there and fill in that spot and then stay up for about an hour, hour and a half after work and watch the highlights. And I got paid overtime, So that really, formed my opinion of sports, those several experiences, and then they always, like in Buffalo, they always do something like when they went and got T.O., they do something to sell enough tickets to hit that sweet spot, sell enough merchandise, get the fans, riled up and everything, sell enough season tickets. Once they hit that sweet spot, they don't care anymore. And, I'm like, wow, this is really, really interesting. So I could care less about sports. I mean, I could sit with you and watch the playoffs or the Super Bowl or whatever, but I could talk about it and be, conversant in it and ask questions and be quiet at the right times. But, other than that, getting into the fanatic level,
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was somewhat fanatic about UFC because I'm really into mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And something happened to me. The Most High has been working me something special, man. Something very diligent for the last 5 years. And especially for the past 2 years, ever since the pandemic came out, the Most High's just been refining, just putting me through situations where I never thought it would exist. I never thought it would come to be. Mm-hmm. And before I continue on that, I just want to recognize some of the brothers and sisters in the chat room. We got brother Ash, that says crazy football soccer hooligans over here in England. Shout outs to the brothers and sisters in England. Shout outs to brother Ash. We also have Sister Yana. And she says, wow, great assessment, brothers. So thank you for your participation. Like I mentioned, anybody who wants to join the conversation, just come into the Spreaker chat room on this broadcast on the Network of Awareness on Spreaker.com. Mm-hmm. Now, what I was saying was, is that I was a fanatic, bro.
Yeah.
I was watching UFC every weekend. And something happened. Something happened during the pandemic where slowly but surely, I didn't care about it anymore. And you know what I figured out was that when the pandemic hit, the Most High gave me an ultimatum. The Most High said, either you are going to be that messenger for me, like you were always intended to be, or you're not, and I'm going to take it away from you. And of course, when I say these things, I'm not saying that the Most High was talking to me and I heard a voice. The Most High talks to me through my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High reveals things to me. I mean, just like very, very deliberate and very mysterious. Most High is always working in mysterious ways and deliberate ways. And if you're aware and prepared to receive the message and you're ready for that truth, you are going to pay heed to the message. And I did. All of a sudden, I just stopped watching UFC. It wasn't important to me no more, but it was at one time. So I understand how the fanaticism, and, you know, I played sports. I played basketball and I ran track, and I was a tennis player, and I was projected to be one of the best tennis players to come out of New York City. That was supposed to be the next Pete Sampras when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I went down a different direction. But I remember being in sports made me very competitive. And sometimes I still struggle with that because I'm all about cooperation now. Do I have still that competitiveness in me? Probably just a little bit. And I check it just like I check the ego. But I used to have that competitive spirit on me heavy, brother. Heavy. It was like I had to win. I had to beat you in whatever it is that I do. And that's not healthy.
No.
And that's why I always tell brothers and sisters, cooperation is always going to beat out competition because competition has a ceiling. Competition can only allow you to go but so far. Competition, you can't have competition in fellowship, can you?
No, because if you are very, very competitive, you have to look at everybody else as less than you.
Bingo.
You
Shout out to Brother Kabar. I'm going to use his word today a lot. Bingo.
You look at the dude, Michael Jordan, who was a guy, another one of the people in sports that they, you know, he was a very, very good player, but I don't want to get into it, but they made him.
Of course.
They very, very good. They hyped him. They told people to open up the lane so he could drive in because it was driving ticket sales and Nielsen ratings for the TV coverage.
Well, listen, we could talk about that whole ESPN special they had one day. Me and you could do a breakdown on it because there's a lot of Illuminati,
you know. But I was watching
handshakes
basketball back then, and I saw how, you know, they used to let Boston play a zone defense, which was illegal in those days. And they were actually bruising people and not calling fouls, you know, and then they talk about now that, you know, if people, if the people from today played back then, they would score 50 a game or something. It's insane because you would have to play the 80s Celtics and the 80s, 90s Detroit Pistons. It's just not going to happen. But people get caught up in this and they sacrifice what they should do to be right with the Lord and instead choose to do other things. Like you said, going into this being a fanatic, and you would set this time to watch and be basically on a schedule according to the dictates of this sport, right? And I want to read something in Jonah chapter 2, verse 8. They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. You know, I saw a post. It was one of the last times I was on Facebook, and it was this guy. He had like a 6-minute diatribe or just basically rant about how, and he was, you know, he was like at the time like 45, 50 years old. He had this rant on, okay, Jordan played these teams in the playoffs and in the championship when he was winning the rings, and Kobe played these people in the playoffs and in the championships when he won these rings. And these are the people that they played against on these teams each season. And these are the people they played in the championship. Then he, for Jordan, he did it with Kobe, and then he did it with LeBron. And this is why this person is better and this and this. And I'm like, dude, this is like 30 years ago. Oh, no, excuse me, 20 years ago, 25 years ago at the max. And you remember all this stuff, or you cared to take enough time to look all this stuff up so you can prove a point because you're right? Dude, what does it matter? What does it matter who is the best? They're from different eras, but see, that's the thing. This lying vanity that they give us is looking at these athletes that they allowed to be in. Because there was a couple people, I know one from out of New York City that was better than Jordan, but they the Locks talked about him. They didn't give him a break. And then Lenny Bias. All right. So they give you these people, they allow you to have these people, and they hype them up to you, just like they do with the news and the politics and everything else, for you to follow and get into. And it's vanity. It's a distraction from a righteous lifestyle. So I'm watching this dude give this rant, and I'm like, dude, what is it about you and your life that you've achieved? Given all this time to watch all these games, because the dude was talking about, I actually watched the games. So what in the last 25 years, what have you given up? 150,000 hours, 100,000 hours, 50,000 hours devoted to these sports? What thing that's more productive for you that would have rewarded you better by now could you have been into? But people don't look at it like that, and they don't, it's valuing the stars that they give you instead of valuing your time and what you can do with your life. You get comfortable. Well, I got this good job. Well, I got this, I got that. Well, you've been a sports fan of 4 different teams across leagues for 15 years, and now your kid is a thug or a thought. Don't you think you could have put your time more wisely into your children and been less of a fan? Now you worried about your kids going out here, ending up in jail or dead or pregnant or thotting or whatever, because you didn't take that time, because that following and being a fanatic after that sport or after that dude that they give you, it was empty. And now you have raised up a kid that you're going to be stressed out about. Now you've forsaken your own mercy. Just like it says in Psalms 107:17, fools, because of their transgression and because of their iniquities, are afflicted. So when we go into these things that we're not, it's okay to be entertained, but you taking that entertainment to the next level. And even when the entertainment is there something that you should be doing, or something that comes up at that time that you should be doing that might take away from that, but it would actually make things right with the Most High? This is why we suffer punishment. And these people that run these entities, they know this about us. They give us the bread and circuses because when we're inundated with that enough, we don't look deeply into what's going on, nor do we look deeply into ourselves. We just get comfortable. And that's what they want. Because a comfortable fan is a comfortable consumer, and they keep clocking that money. that, like, for instance, the NFL is a 501c3 corporation. It's a nonprofit. And I really don't still understand how the employees of that company, the players, actually have to pay taxes on their income. But that's probably another topic you need to talk about with a lawyer or something. But it's all vanity. Yeah. Nothing wrong with entertainment. But when you let it start to control your schedule and your lifestyle, it's off.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have an attorney on the show this week, Jan Wade. Okay. Most likely at the end of the week or beginning of next, depending. This show, one of the reasons I was telling you that, when I started Network of Awareness, I didn't intend on bringing out scriptures. And I still don't. I really don't bring out scriptures that much unless I have brothers like you on or other guests that they want to bring out scriptures, because it's all about awareness, because not everybody's into the word. Like what you just read there, some of my listeners, they're not into that. They're not into the word. They're not into, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not into the Most High, but they're not into the word. And the reason I did this Network of Awareness is because people have to understand what they're experiencing, because that's what awareness is all about. It's understanding the experience that you're having as a spiritual being, having the physical experience, being in the flesh. And when it comes to this super propaganda bowl, they know that they can, within a couple of hours of programming or several hours of programming for this one event, they can dump so many subliminal messages that are going to reside and resonate within you, within the spiritual being. And it's going to sit there. And it's going to be, because that's what subliminal messaging is. It's basically the subconscious mind having the subliminal message being the seeds being planted. And the subconscious mind is that fertile soil that's going to absorb it, that your conscious mind ain't going to be aware of. But you're going to be getting it. Let me give you some examples of that. And then the next question I'm going to ask you, because I asked you, the first question was, can fellowship have competition in it? And you said no. And that was right. But can fellowship have cooperation? And then we're going to get your answer. But before we get into cooperation versus competition, I want to bring up some things here. There was a couple of commercials. Now, as you know, commercial ad insertion, the advertisement that is inserted into these commercials, they pay millions of dollars for this event. Millions, because so many people are watching. So I'm going to bring up some of the commercials that were brought up. And there was more than this, but there was 3 that stood out to me. The Liberty commercial, Liberty Insurance. Liberty, 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 liberty. Boom, boom. Okay. Liberty commercial. There was a Liberty commercial where this guy and girl are on those little one wheels that you stand on and you travel on. I think they're called one wheels or something. And they got their helmets on and they're by the ocean. And, she's giving her commentary about, something about how they're protected with liberty and this and that. And then they showed the boyfriend going onto the wheel and basically riding into the railing and falling over like whoop, bloop, bloosh, and then falls into the water. And then she looks at him like he's a freaking idiot, but she's not really caring at the moment. Then she looks again and she takes that donut and throws it into the water, that life preserver thing. I forgot what it's called. Now, when I saw, listen, my spiritual eyes were open yesterday. Most High's like, I'm going to show you everything today. Because if you're going to take time to watch this, you might as watch it with your spiritual eyes instead of the cardinal ones. So as soon as I saw that, I said, man, here they go in this very quick commercial, pushing that dumbing down of the heterosexual male in the United Shenanigans of America.
Yep.
Brothers like yourself, brothers like me, that are men that appreciate the woman, the female principles, opposite of us, and that like only women, that love women, that are attracted to only women. We're not attracted to minors. We're not attracted to men or any other type of mutant that's out there. And for some reason, there's been this agenda for quite some time, for at least the past 10 years, maybe even more. But I know for sure for the past 10 years, it's like we have to make the heterosexual man the head of the household, or used to be here in the United Shenanigans of America. We got to make him look stupid as shit. We got to make him look like he's not capable of doing anything and that he deserves no respect. If anything, he needs a babysitter, i.e. the wife, i.e. the girlfriend. That's what he needs, because he can't seem to get his shit together because he's so damn stupid. That's the agenda they push. And when I see that, it upsets me, because it's like, this is one of the reasons why so many of our relationships are in turmoil, because you got a lot of women out here looking at us men like we're dumb, like we can't do anything right. And it just causes for so much conflict. And when they showed it, they showed him going into the ocean, and she's looking at him like, oh, he did it again, this freaking idiot. And they've been pushing that agenda heavy. So that's one, okay? That's just one example. We're going to go on to the next one. Ford. EV. EV technology. For those that don't know what EV technology is, they've been pushing it on the commercials heavy, especially in this Super Bowl. Electronic vehicles. And let me tell you something, people. Electronic vehicles is not the way to go. Okay? So if you're thinking about going EV, you better rethink that shit.
A lot.
You better stick your ass to some gas. Matter of fact, I might even get, my next car might be a 1985 Cutlass Supreme. Okay? Because I want no technology. I don't want no technology. I just want a car that's going to move and be able to go where I need it to go without being under surveillance with anything. But I bring up the EV because they had this commercial that was sponsored by Netflix where it showed Will Ferrell going through these different scenes with characters from like Walking Dead, Squid Games, and all of that, right? And they're showing him in the EV vehicle for Ford, which I'm starting to see a lot of people out here in Florida, in St. Pete, and throughout the Tampa Bay area. I've been seeing a lot of men and women purchasing these vehicles. And wasn't it you, brother, that shared that video from Instagram where the guy was like literally charging for 40 minutes for only a few miles of electronic gas?
45 minutes, he got 20 miles of charge, and it cost him, I think, $18. $19 or something like that. No, it was $19. So it was like $1 something a mile that he was getting.
And he was there for 45 minutes.
And 45 minutes, but still the gas is like you're getting 17 or 20 or 14, whatever miles to the gallon. He's getting, he's getting basically gallons to the mile. Right. The opposite of what would be in a car. He's paying more for the electricity. And that's the thing. The grid is not ready. The technology has not caught up with the dream. And that's just it. And now they're rushing because of government regulations, because of their lobbyists. they're pushing this on the auto manufacturers. So they're rushing to get the stuff done. And I don't think the technology is going to be caught up with the dream for about at least 10 years or whatever. But these guys want to push it, even though the Lord said, some people don't want to hear that, but it's true. The Lord said the climate was going to be all messed up because of the oceans and stuff and all this other stuff. It was predicted in the Bible. So they're trying to make it the everyday common person's fault when it's actually something that they can't even control. And they know it. That's why they have private jets and, armored Bentley trucks and armored Suburbans and all that other stuff to carry them around with a security detail that uses even more cars. And that's why they're buying oceanfront properties. But that's just them. We still have to, whatever.
They're pushing it so hard every day, too, on the commercials because they really want to transition from gas to electric so that they can further lock us down into this scenario like I always talk about the Hunger Games. And what better way to get us conforming to this electronic vehicle thing. And one day they just hit us with an EPM or EMP.
EMP, yeah.
Like an EMP, and we're done. Now your car can't go nowhere. Let's not even talk about how they can control your car remotely, too, if it's electronic. That's a whole nother thing with the GPS and the North Star, whatever the hell you call that, the star navigation stuff. So that's just another way. Same thing with Tesla. If Tesla wanted to, they could take whatever vehicle that somebody purchases and they can drive that vehicle back to the dealership if that person doesn't make a payment on it or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, it's insane. Third one, Tubi TV. Now, I like Tubi TV, and their commercial was actually really good. But the way they did it, it was like, boy, you want to talk about subliminal messages? They had rabbits, people dressed up in rabbit costumes, and they were basically pulling people out their cars and walking up to a rabbit hole and dumping them down it, throwing them down the rabbit hole. And then the people were falling down the rabbit hole and seeing all the different programming and TV programs and shows and movies that they can watch, documentaries that they have access to through Tubi TV. And they're floating down the rabbit hole, and it's just a plethora of screens all, down the rabbit hole, all around it. And I was like, wow. I was like, boy, they are getting very... They just letting it all out, man. Yeah. Like, nobody can't tell me, like, if somebody was to tell me that we're not in the end times, I just would be like, really? Like, you really believe that we're not in the end times? Because we are. There's just too much being brought out so fast because Satan only has a little bit of time left. Just a little bit. So they're pouring it on heavy. They're pouring on transhumanism and all this stuff. And I wanted to bring up that last commercial because that's the one that I remember the most, where they were throwing people down the damn rabbit hole. And it's like, okay, we're going to show you all the truth on Tubi TV. And for a free app, let me tell you something. Tubi's got a boatload of information that you don't normally see on any Netflix or Hulu or anywhere else. And that's another thing I want to talk about with the commercials. They do it a lot on Hulu, but they was doing it on the damn Super Bowl. Have you noticed these commercials where they're showing a lot of homosexuality? They're showing a lot of couples, which is usually two men.
Yeah.
It's not really, they don't really show two women together. They'll show it, but not as much as they show two men. And what they're doing now, and they did it yesterday, is they're showing you commercials where it's usually a so-called black man with a so-called white man, and they have a child. and they have either one child or two children. And that child can be anything as far as supposed ethnicity. And they pushing that heavy. And listen, I'll say it here on the Network of Awareness, and I say it unapologetically because I really don't give a shit what people think about what I'm going to say right now. But there shouldn't be two people of the same sex in a relationship. Let me specify this. In a romantic relationship or marriage, raising any children. That's child abuse. That's child abuse. And of course, I'm gonna say it in my opinion. That's my view. You know, and I know there's gonna be some people that disagree with that, but I truly believe that two men or two women that are sleeping in the same bed together and having a child exposed to that should be raising any children. No.
Yeah.
But yet they're pushing that propaganda heavy in the commercials now. And they did it yesterday in the Super Bowl. All right. They did it heavily. There was so much going on for this whole entire event, brother, that I know we're not going to even be able to cover it all. There was just so much. And the overall theme that I got from the commercials to the broadcasting, one of the things I saw in the broadcast with Michael Strahan looked like he was high on something. Like, I don't know what the hell he took, but there was a point where he was standing up before the show started, before the Super Bowl, and they're talking when they're all standing up on stage, and he was doing like the lean back dance while he's talking. I don't know if he had lean back playing on his earphones. But I was like, yo, this dude can't stay still. And then he's like shifting and leaning, and just something wasn't right. But the overall thing that I was seeing with my spiritual eyes was witchcraft. I was just seeing a lot of witchcraft. And let's look up the word craft, because I've done this with Brother Aqua Rai. We're going to do it again here.
Yeah.
We're going to look up the word craft.
Maybe Michael Strahan had the same stuff that Al Roker had.
Maybe.
That time when he just froze on camera.
But he looked like ADD on steroids yesterday. I'm like, what's going on here?
And, right quick, I want to paraphrase a quote that Umar Johnson said that I saw the other day. He was like, amongst a race of people in this country, we have the highest percentage of men in prison, which means that we have the lowest percentage of men available for families.
Right.
And then we have the highest percentage of single parent households. How is pushing that alternative lifestyle on us going to profit us as a community when the basis of our community is the family? They're pushing something that's going to radically alter and destroy our family, because the children need a mother and a father, and that's the thing. They're pushing it on these commercials like it's a good thing and it's a beautiful thing. But if you look under the surface, if you pull back the curtain on it to see how it is actually affecting us, it is actually a racist policy, because it is destroying our families and our children when they push this on us. But as long as we have the bread and circuses, we don't care. And that's a problem.
It's a huge problem. A huge problem. I'm gonna look up the word craft, but I'm gonna give you both just a definition according to man, and then we're gonna give the biblical definition. An activity involving skills in making things by hand, skill used in deceiving others. There we go. Skill used in deceiving others. So that's what you saw a lot of yesterday. You saw a lot of craft within a sport, craft within programming, broadcasting, all of that. Everything yesterday was a skill used to deceive the general public. And I'm glad you brought up what you brought up, brother, because you know what I was thinking? when you were mentioning that about what Umar Johnson said, which is very true, is that this whole series that I'm doing under the emotional hypnosis series, this is perfect timing of what you brought up when it comes to emotional hypnosis. Because which gender is known to be more emotional between a man or a woman?
The woman.
Exactly. So how convenient it would be to have people around to absorb this bullshit that are more emotional. To get stuck in the emotional hypnosis is the one that operates more on that than the actual man. Furthermore, most homosexuals, especially men, are very emotional. They like women in the man's body, right? So if you got women in men's bodies walking around, and then you got women walking around and less men, that emotional hypnosis has a very high probability of being successful, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. You know what? Right quick, let me read some synonyms of craft. Cast, like you were talking about the witchcraft. Draw up, prepare, compose, formulate. So what they're doing is they're setting this out there in society as a framework that they want people to be in. They have composed the narrative and they want everybody to get in that box. But when you look at the effects of that box, you know, and going in and following that lying vanity, it's not going to be a good thing for you. Like, what's the name? It was the guy, his father was a Tuskegee Airman, Tom Joyner. He had a morning show. And what they used to say on it, anytime they talked about, you know, two people, because this stuff would come up in the news, like with Brittany Griner beating up her, I don't know, husband or wife or whatever it was, her partner. They would say, same sex, same problems. You trying to run to an alternative lifestyle, but you still gonna have the same problems. But then now you're doing something that actually destroys the community. Going back to what Umar Johnson said. So it's just a thing, like you said, with the whole witchcraft and the propaganda, how they're composing things and casting things in front of us or to us. And we, because we desire bread and circuses, and we don't want to fix ourselves and live right, we fall right into that trap. And we get spoiled by that philosophy and vain deceit.
You know, very well said, brother. Something else that I wanted to bring up that I noticed is that, remember that speech that John Cena did recently at the ESPN ESPY Awards?
I heard about it, but I don't remember it specifically.
Well, he talked about how why are they having him being a host of the ESPY Awards? And he said maybe it's because all sports is a big stage, just like the WWE.
It is.
And it is. Yeah. I mean, like I said, they're just giving us all the truth in plain sight.
Yeah.
They're just like magicians. They're using sleight of hand. All right. They're using the sleight of hand technique to just bamboozle us and to really make a mockery of our level of intelligence, or at least some of us.
Yeah.
Because there's many of us, not only in this country, but around the world, that we are not fooled. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Most High said that many are called and only a few chosen. Well, those few that are chosen are starting to wake up, or have been woken up, to the reality that this is all a big stage. All of it. Every single little bit of it. And one thing that I realized is that now what you're starting to see when it comes to like WWE type of format, even with the commentators, broadcasters, right? Like Ron Gronkowski, I can't remember their names, but you know, the broadcasters that they usually have on. A lot of them are ex-football players, right? Good football players, like Howie Long. I used to like watching Howie Long when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are following a script now like WWE. And what I noticed is, you know, like how in the World Wrestling Federation, how they have it set up, even when you and I were children, where it's all these skits where they go on camera and they talk shit to each other.
Yeah.
And they have this whole, it's like a play. Well, they're starting to do that now. They've probably been doing it for quite some time because I don't watch none of this stuff. Yeah. But I realized it yesterday because I was watching it for the first time in like forever. And I was like watching how they're doing these skits between the broadcasters, actually doing skits and performing and acting out certain roles for entertainment purposes. And I was just like, bro, now they're doing it very deliberately with the freaking broadcasters. It's like everything is sensationalized to entertain and dumb you down. Every single bit of it. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, no wonder these young 20-something-year-olds are so damn stupid. Because this is all they've been fed. All of it. It doesn't serve for the spiritual being having a physical experience to wake up to this reality like, what is this doing for me as a spiritual being? Like, it's not filling me up with the Holy Spirit. It's not filling me up with knowledge to have wisdom in this walk towards salvation. It's leading me astray from that. And shout out to Brother Shamak that's in the chat room as well. Thank you, brother, for coming on and participating. He said Will Smith, Chris Rock, the whole world is a stage.
Yep.
You know, like, put it like this, man. When I saw that, I just was like, you know, thinking to myself, and when I was watching the game too, this is another thing, because I got to bring this out, brother, when it comes to me, because I didn't even have a chance to write this all down because it was coming so much. Like, I was trying to write this all down. And that's why I didn't do the video portion of this show, because I'm like, it's too much. It would be like a 5-hour to 6-hour show if I was to show the video. But the thing is, when they were playing the game, right? You know how they play music in the stadium?
Yes.
Guess what they were playing a lot? Over and over again. Just take a guess. Anything. Think of a song that they would play over and over again. Like, you know, like, remember, like, let the dogs out?
Yeah.
Okay. Think of something
Van
like
Halen,
that.
Running with the Devil.
Okay, no. But they have played that back in the days.
Yeah, they used to.
You remember the movie Purge?
Yes, but I didn't see it.
Remember when the horn goes, bloom, bloom, bloom? That means that Purge is about to start. That means that, you know, they kept playing that throughout the whole entire event of the Super Bowl. I heard it multiple times. The siren from the movie Purge, when everybody's about to start purging and killing each other. Blood, blood, the whole time. Over and over again. Very repetitive. You know, auto-suggestion, right?
Yep.
Subliminal messaging through the music, through the frequencies, over and over. I said, look at these pieces of gaki playing this over and over again.
And remember what that sheriff in Illinois said starting January 1st of this year, because he was saying, I think he said it in November of last year. He was like, this bill is going to let murderers out with no bail. This bill is going to let
the pedophiles. They let all the pedophiles out.
All this stuff out. So y'all better get ready and, get aware, get out, do what you have to do.
That's why I like being in the South, bro. That's why I like being here in Florida, because one of the reasons, and I've had this discussion with several brothers about why certain things don't really pop off like they do in other places, is because everybody got guns out here. Everybody got guns out here.
Yep.
Everybody. That's why you got to be very careful with road rage and all of that, because you can get your life taken very quickly.
Yep. Oh, good morning, sir. You just cut me off in traffic? You have a nice day, sir.
Right. But that's why I'm happy I'm here in the South, because you see, that's a form of propaganda in itself too. Let's read propaganda again, and we're going to read something different. What is the meaning of propaganda? The dissemination of information. Propaganda is the dissemination of information through facts, arguments, rumors, half-truths, or lies to influence public opinion, deliberateness, and a relatively heavy emphasis on manipulation distinguish propaganda from casual conversation or the free and easy exchange of ideas. What's happening in the household of millions of households in America when this event is going on? I'll tell you what's happening. Casual conversation or the free and easy exchange of ideas. So like I was alluding to earlier when I had mentioned about when they said, oh, this is the first time in history that 2 African-American quarterbacks are playing in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And that further pushes racism. That further pushes the idea that so-called melanated black men and women are lesser than. It further pushes the agenda that slavery is still real, and that for some reason my white skin or my pale complexion is more valuable than yours. Or further, to push it even further, when they do say that, it's like people say, you see, this place ain't that bad. We're getting better. We're evolving. We just had 2 African-American quarterbacks.
Yeah.
For the first time. And it's like, ain't shit here. Nothing here has been for the first time. And like the scriptures tells us that there is nothing new under the sun. Especially when it comes to the Most High, because the Most High is that which is and ever will be. So it's like, what? You think you did something? Like, this is what this country made us think with Benjamin Franklin. Oh, Benjamin Franklin flew a kite with a freaking key and discovered electricity. It's like, are you kidding me?
That's what they told you.
The Wright brothers discovered how to fly. You kidding me? Come on, man. It's all lies. It's all bullshit. It's stupid. And this is why people really need to wake up, because the more you subject yourself to that type of programming, the lesser you are going to have the ability to really be equipped to fight in this spiritual warfare. You're just not. That's why I strongly urge on this show that if you want to be equipped, you better have the word. You better have a relationship with the Most High. You better start changing the way you move and the way you see things. And you better start being way more charitable than you are, because that egoic mindset, that individual light, that tribe of individual light mentality, it ain't going to work. It seems like it's working for right now. But when the shit hits the fan and starts spreading everywhere, you're going to be so defenseless. There's going to be so many people that are so defenseless because they are not getting the proper provisions for their spirit to be equipped for the warfare that's about to come down like one of the greatest calamities ever that's been seen by the human eye in modern day existence. And if you thought that the pandemic was really bad, you've seen nothing. It's going to be far worse in the very near future. Far, far worse. It's going to be pandemic on steroids, spiritually. All right. And we already saw what the pandemic did. I mean, it took a lot of souls, Satan collected a lot of souls.
And some of them ain't even dead yet.
That's right.
They just gone.
They're just dead men and women walking. That's all they are. Yep. But see, this thing with propaganda, this is why this is most of the things that I talk about, because this is spiritual warfare. That's all it is. And they have very, very divisive, advanced methods on how to go about it. And this whole emotional hypnosis that's going on with this Super Bowl event, it's like they're giving you a year's worth of propaganda in a few hours.
Yep.
And they're doing it at a time when the deliberateness and relatively heavy emphasis on manipulation distinguish propaganda from casual conversations or the free and easy exchange of ideas. And that's what was happening yesterday while you were eating your Buffalo Wild Wings with ranch dressing or blue cheese and stuffing your face with fries and having a Heineken or a Bud Light or having a mimosa or champagne. And listen, I'm all about brothers and sisters getting together, but you better know what you're experiencing. You better know what you're experiencing, because if not, you just being led to the slaughter if you're watching it with your cardinal eyes, because all of that subliminal messaging that we're bringing out on this broadcast is having an influence on you. And if you're not aware of it, you need to tune into shows like this so that you can become aware of it, because this is a network. This is not just about me. I don't do this for me. I do this for the Most High. And I do this so that we collectively as brothers and sisters, especially my brothers and sisters in Israel, start waking up. Because a lot of brothers and sisters in Israel, they're not woken up. They're reading scriptures and they're dumb as shit. They don't have a clue about what's going on. They're just part of something. They have that mindset that, oh, I'm going to be a part of this because it's cool and it's comfortable for me and I like it. But they're not really in it. They're not really in it to win it for the Most High. They're just in it because it's comfortable. And they're no different than the people that are being subjected to this that don't have any type of spiritual understanding. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've met plenty of brothers and sisters that are not within this faith, that are way more righteous than people that claim to be in this faith. Too many times. So I do this so that we can network with each other, so we can start waking up collectively and start really collaborating and coming together in cooperation for the Most High. To come into cooperation of Christ's life, so that when these calamities on the world start happening and all of this manipulation starts becoming more forceful, more, what's that word when they shut everything down, when the military comes in?
Martial law.
But yeah, when it becomes more in the sense of a martial law, which is man's law on locking things down and bringing about that Hunger Games, that we collectively and collaboratively and cooperate together within this faith to be united through the Spirit of Christ, through the Spirit of the Messiah. Because when we do that, we can't be stopped. And that's what the Most High wants for us, because that's not only the way that we're going to get to salvation, but that's the only way we're going to be able to survive the spiritual warfare that's going to become very physical in the very near future, as it has been drawing near with the pandemic. The pandemic was very spiritual, but it was very physical Why? Because they put a satanic serum inside of your muscle tissue that did all types of crazy shit to you besides kill you. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm very passionate about this because this is not a time to be laxed. This is a time to start taking your life very, very seriously. Start taking the word very seriously. Like, this is not a time to play games. This is not a time to half-ass, half-step, play both sides, or anything like that. Because you're only lying to yourself. And you're only going to hurt yourself when the time comes. And you're going to be like, damn, I don't know what to do. Why? Because you've been caught up in things like the damn Super Bowl and claiming to live, or should I say living vicariously through others, through somebody who don't give a lick of shit about who and what you do. You're just venerating man and living vicariously through men and women that don't care about you. You think these players care about you? And there's something else I want to bring up before I forget too. Damar Hamlin. They had this. Damar Hamlin is the brother who went into cardiac arrest.
Which one?
What do you mean? Which one?
The one that keeps showing up, or the football player? Now, let me stop joking.
No, the one. Well, that's another thing. Maybe that's a clone. I'm starting to think that might be a clone, but I understand what you mean. But the guy who went into cardiac arrest, I think 5 days after he got the rooster, and went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and went into cardiac arrest, and they supposedly resuscitated him. They had this whole thing when he was sitting next to the commissioner. They brought him out onto the field with all the doctors from the facility that he was at in Ohio. And I'm like, why is this being sensationalized so much? Well, here's the answer, brothers and sisters. And then, brother, I know I've been talking a lot, so my apologies. Okay. I mean, I'm forgetting that I have a co-host on the show.
We good.
But the reason why they brought him out is because they have to keep pushing the propaganda that the science appliance is good for you. They can't tell you that this brother went into cardiac arrest because he took the cuckoo for Cocoa Pops rooster shot. They can't tell you that. They can't tell you that we are under medical tyranny because the whole purpose of the Super Bowl is to endorse medical tyranny. They can't tell you that. So they got to make it look like medical tyranny is great. So let's bring this brother out and just a round of applause. Hey, you had cardiac arrest and survived. We're going to celebrate you for that now. Why? For what? They don't celebrate other players that get hurt on the field like this.
Well, there's the thing, though. I'm really amazed that I don't see him walking with any pain when it was reported that the guy that gave him CPR was beating on his chest so hard he broke one of his ribs. So I've never seen because
they were so desperate to make sure that he didn't die.
Yeah. I just, if that's true, I don't think he would be walking around or even making a movement to sit down or stand up.
Right.
As painlessly looking as he is doing. So I don't know, maybe they have some high double top secret high technology surgical techniques that, they were able to fix that. I don't know. I mean, there's so much madness and idiocracy and BS going on in this society today. It's really hard to believe anything. That's why the only thing we can believe on is the Christ of the Bible as it is written.
That's it. Because that is the truth, the way, and the life that we need to follow as servants as servants, because that's all we are. We are the vessels that the Most High created to express his truth in this physical form on a temporary basis, just for temporary purposes, because this is not our place of stay. This is not our home. This is our experience.
Exactly. And you know what? Can I go back to one thing that you said?
Go ahead, brother.
Right quick. When you read the definition of propaganda, I looked up synonyms or words that mean the same thing as propaganda. And I just want us to think about this. And I'm just going to read some of them. Campaign, advertisement, advertising, ad, publicity, promotion, communication, announcement, pronouncement, commercial, broadcast, report, newscast, telecast, dispatch, notice, gazette, declaration, cablecast, proclamation. Those are some of the synonyms for propaganda. And what is all of the things, the fake news, the rumors, the daily programming on television, and the programming that's on the internet, the information at your fingertips? What is all of this stuff coming through? It's coming through these communications, these newscasts, these selective information newscasts, the narrative pushing. You know, I was watching an interview. It was a guy on a UK newscast, and he was interviewing a guy in the Ukraine. And he asked him, well, you know, because Russia did this and did that, and then, you know, Ukraine had to defend themselves, what do you think is going on? And he was like, listen, the way you framed that question is absolutely wrong, because this war started in 2014 when Ukraine started bombing and shelling the ethnic Russians over in this eastern region and such and such. So your question is framed very, very incorrectly, and blah, blah, blah. And then it went on. So a lot of times the things that we're presented in this wicked, evil, satanic, bread and circuses society is only enough to just brush off any interest, prevent any concern or uprising, and just keep us concentrated on the things that are going to keep us full, happy, so-called, and entertained. And that's what we have to watch out for, because we can get caught up in that and get spoiled, get destroyed. We can get caught up in that, and we will leave off from having mercy from the Most High. So it's just something that we should be aware of and that we should think about, you know, doing not only our own research on what's going on in the world and how it relates to the Bible, but also doing our own research on what we need to do, you know? So, you know, just some things to think about, you know?
Yeah. And you know, that whole thing with Damar Hamlin, like, it just like, every time I see something that's tied into this, this campaign to continue to push the science appliance, I have to really tone my anger down, you know, because it frustrates me and it angers me to see this, because I'm getting sick of it to see it, because it's like people still like, and it's one of those things where I guess I have so much empathy for humanity that I don't want my brothers and sisters to be destroyed. But when I see stuff like this and I see how people gravitate to it, it's like the Most High is letting me know, like, hey, a lot of people are going to be destroyed and there ain't nothing you could do about it. You know, all you could do is be an example of, you know, of my way, of my laws and statutes and commandments and truth. Focus on making sure that you be that example, and those that are ready to recognize that example as my truth, so be it. That's all that matters. And I battle with that sometimes, because as much as I hate to admit it, I sometimes have that spirit on me where I want to save the world. Like I want to help everybody I possibly can, but not everybody can be helped.
Yeah.
You know, it's very unfortunate, but not everybody can be helped. I have a very charitable spirit, and I like to see everybody winning. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. That's not as much as I want that, that's not what the Most High wants. The Most High wants the faithful. The Most High wants those that are worthy to be in his kingdom. That's it.
Yeah.
Because many of us are not going to be.
Yeah. And that's the thing, bro. When they were in the simulation in the first Matrix, when they were walking down I guess it was the busy sidewalk in Manhattan, I guess. And Morpheus told Neo, some of the people that we are trying to save will fight us to the death because they want to stay in the Matrix.
Right.
And it's a saying that you always say, the ego will fight to the death to defend itself, right?
Facts.
Some people are just so comfortable with the bread and circuses. They've lowered their standards, or they don't want to raise their standards, that they could care less about what's going on. They're going to follow along, and they will fight you and gnash their teeth at you and oppose you vehemently because you're trying to wake them up. But that's, we all want to see everybody be saved. And we know that the scriptures say that the Lord is going to give everybody a chance to save themselves. And then, from that point on, we just have to be mindful of ourselves and do our job, like you just said,
Whew. Bro, let me tell you something. The level of idiocracy right now in this country, and even around the world, because you see it on social media all over the world, some of the dumbest stuff you could possibly think of, is because of events like this. Events like this have a profound influence on people's minds more than we can ever even think of. Because having these types of events on a repetitive, ritualistic basis, because this is a ritual, and it's a ritual that's performed every single year. Every single year, just like the holidays. It becomes a standard ritual. And what is the standard practice ritual is that we congregate together, we get all this food that's not healthy for us, we consume alcohol, and we talk about things that are unmeaningful, and then we start, through our perceptions, living vicariously through these people that we're watching. You know what we're watching in its totality, like on a basic, simple level? We're watching grown-ass men in tights hit each other and catch a ball. Something that we did as kids. And we're just watching grown men doing it and acting or pretending that it's important. And I've always been a proponent of this, and I will remain this. Sports does not help a society. There's no reason why a man should be paid $30 million to hit, catch, or throw a ball. None. No, there's no reason. There's no reason whatsoever. And I can have this argument with anybody. You ain't going to be able to win that argument. You cannot tell me that a man catching a ball is going to help a society evolve. It's not going to work. But what it does serve, it serves as a great distraction to keep leading you astray from your spirit, from that Holy Spirit that's supposed to be filling you up, opposed to the emptiness and the illusions that are filling you up with emptiness, with something that has no substance to it. The only substance it has is that emotion that only lasts for as long as you feel it. That's it. Nothing else. It's nothing everlasting. Why? Because it's not coming from the Most High. Period. And that's what we saw yesterday. We saw a lot of leading astray. We saw a lot of Satan games. That's all that we was watching yesterday. We was watching a satanic ritual of rituals within rituals. And a lot of us were at our, what do you call that? The altars. The altar is your living room. The altar is the television.
That's it.
And we're giving provisions, food to the altar. And we're passing it around. Just like when they would give provisions or when they would make sacrifices to the altar and burn incense in the days of antiquity to these false gods, to this pagan worship. Ain't no different these days. This whole entire Super Bowl event is a super pagan worship event, venerating man. And a lot of those men are wicked as hell. A lot of those men are into so many deviant behaviors that you will never find out about. What does Brother Shamak say? Chasing the dream, having you looking for fortune and fame and not the Most High. Well said. Very true. That's all it's doing. It ain't doing nothing else. It's keeping us dumbed down. It's keeping us so ignorant to the reality of things that are going on.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention, because we already went over 2 hours, so I'm going to keep going because I'll edit the show on the back end. I'll take out a lot of the dead air, and hopefully we'll get it under 2 hours. But I'm not stopping because we got to bring this out. This thing with the event of the game itself, when I was watching the game, there was that crucial, pivotal moment, like there always is, where what's the name of the quarterback from the Philadelphia Eagles? Hurts. Okay. Did you watch the Super Bowl yesterday? I didn't even ask you if you watched the Super Bowl yesterday.
Absolutely not. My time is more valuable.
Okay, got you. There was a point where he got the ball knocked out of his hand, but I'm gonna tell you, it looked like he dropped it on purpose when he fumbled the ball.
Okay.
All right. And that was pivotal because they picked up the ball and ran it for a touchdown, and that changed the game or whatever. But what you've noticed, and many brothers and sisters have brought this out on YouTube and social media, where they show you how all of this is very scripted, where they already know who's going to win. Just like the powers that shouldn't be already know who's going to be president. They already know. People think that voting is real. I laugh. I laugh when people, even some people in this faith, still go vote. I'm like, how do you still go vote? You know this shit is bullshit. Like, why are you still practicing this
some people,
ridiculous
you're just not going to win that argument.
Of course not.
But it's because they believe that lying vanity.
Right. So they could say, I voted. I participated. What did you do? Did you vote? So you can't even talk about politics if you're not actually involved.
You know what I do? I go get that George Carlin thing off of YouTube where he's like, people tell you if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. And he takes it and explains how that if you vote, you actually have no right to complain because you participated in this madness. Me, on the other hand, I stayed in the house. I made a promise to myself not to even go outside that day. I prepared because I don't want to take part in that. And I have every right to complain because I know exactly what it is. And I send them that. And then I guess they don't feel like arguing. I'm not arguing. I just sent them, a video of somebody representing part of what I think about it,
Right. But that whole illusion of voting and being and participating is no different than the Super Bowl when you got one team versus the other. And it's like, oh, my team is better than yours. And it's just causing so much division. But within the division, they are all cooperating to lead you astray. That's all it is. The demonic forces are cooperating together to lead you astray within the division propaganda train, the gravy train. That's why when you saw on the field, end racism. Well, if you want to end racism, stop talking shit and saying that, oh, this is the first time that two African-American quarterbacks are playing against each other in the Super Bowl. Stop saying that. Because first of all, ain't shit about the United Shenanigans of America that's been first in anything. Not a damn thing. Brothers and sisters have been creating things back in the days of antiquity, back in the days of Babylon and Egypt and Rome. And even before that, brothers and sisters were doing amazing things through the grace of the Most High. So this is nothing new. I can't stand it when they say, oh, first African-American this, first that. It's like, come on, first. What does that even mean? It don't even mean nothing. But yet they push it, and that gives people this false sense of hope that things are getting better here. And it's crazy because I felt like things are like when you start ascending within this faith, you literally can start seeing everything clear as day. It's like you really become Neo and you see the matrix for what it really looks like. You see all the lines coming down.
Yep.
And that's why I love that scene with him and Morpheus. And towards the end where it actually comes into fruition. He said, what do you mean? I could dodge bullets? He said, Neo, when the time comes, you won't have to. I love that scene. And I love the scene when they start shooting at him and he puts his hands up and says, no. And those bullets stop and fall. That's what it's like when you really start getting rooted, not just in the word, but you start getting your spirit rooted to being connected to Christ, to being connected to the Most High. When you really start getting those roots and having that fusion with your spiritual self, where you really start saying, oh, I'm a spiritual being that's having a physical experience, and I'm here to serve my creator that created me in his image and gave me an example of how to be rooted within that truth of the image that I was created in. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm letting you brothers and sisters know that if you are experiencing that on a regular basis, you are good. And I do this show so that we can understand that not only we need to be coming to that understanding for ourselves individually, but that when we do come to that understanding, we need to bring it together collectively for the Most High. Because what else are we going to do? Get caught up in the worldly world of things that is so unfulfilling, that are so cardinal? It gets easier, brothers and sisters. Trust me. I'm an example of this. Like, I'm living this as we speak. Things are getting a lot easier to not get caught up in many, many ways. It's very easy. Doesn't mean that I'm safe. Doesn't mean that Satan can't bamboozle me, because Satan just attacked me a couple of days ago through someone and tried to get me off course. And guess what? They did disturb my peace of mind for a little bit. because I wanted to operate in a whole different way, but I didn't. But that's why it's so important to keep your spirit strong within this truth of the Most High's truth. That's it. Keep your faith strong. Make sure it's unwavering, because this propaganda is not going nowhere. It's intensifying. Satan is intensifying his ways of deception. He's getting better and better, and he's becoming a better liar and a better deceiver every single day. He's leveling up. So we need to level up through that Holy Spirit, through the Most High. And we just need to level up, period. Like, we just need to stop giving our energy to things that don't serve any meaningful purpose to our lives, like venerating men and women on a damn TV screen and claiming that this one is better than that, and that's my team, and that's this, and that's that. It's like, it's not going to serve you well to do that. Is there anything you want to say, brother? Because I know I've been bringing a lot of things out, but is there anything you want to bring about that? Because I know you didn't watch the event, but is there anything you want to bring out in regards to this propaganda machine when it comes to the Super Bowl, or anything else in regards to propaganda?
Yes. One thing, real quick, Proverbs 11, verse 21, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So you can see it as entertainment, and if you have time for it, that's what you do. To, after you get everything done, you set aside time, that's entertainment. That's fine. But when you go into being a fanatic, where you have to follow everything and you venerate these men as their idols, or these sports figures, where you follow along with the deception that's behind it, you start believing in the propaganda that's in the show itself and in the commercials, and you go along and you join with this narrative. It can be 1 million, 1 billion people going into this. But if it's wickedness, you're not going to be unpunished. Those that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. That's what we really have to look at. And that goes with everything that we've talked about so far, and probably everything that we will talk about. But I just want to bring that out, that we have to look at ourselves and look to heaven more than we look to men and the policies and the commercial enterprises and the distractions of this society. Those things have their place, but they should not be a priority. That's all.
Well said, brother. Well said.
No praises.
So let's take a instrumission, and then we'll close out the show, because I want to play some music like we do on these live broadcasts, because it's something that I strayed away from for a little while. So I'm bringing it back in. And I feel like a lot of times, especially with the spiritual music that's played on this show, it always gives a good vibe, a good vibration and tone to the topics of discussion. When our brothers and sisters are putting out this spiritual music, giving all praises to the Most High. So I'm going to play 3 songs here. I'm going to play The Power of Music, that is by myself and Take One. And then I'm going to play Conspiracy by Brother Rico Moss. And then we're going to go into Higher Learning by Brother Aim featuring Take One. All right. So let's get into it, brothers and sisters. This is The Power of Music. This is the first song that I ever did with Take One. This is the song that started bringing out all the haters in the cult that him and I were a part of. And after this song, boy, like, the haters were coming out left and right. Let's go.
The show is called Music Satan's one's favorite gateway because music can be a demonic portal. What I mean by that, everybody knows the popular quote, what goes in must come out, all right? Because whatever you feed your mind and soul is going to eventually reflect in your actions and your thoughts.
It's a fight to the finish, just like Tyson and Silas. The spirit guides me to finish. To touch you, I hope you feel it. No doubt, and that's for the pigeons. Fist right to the villain of evil, manipulating this generation of children. Things I see in the media got me heated up. Girls barely in their teens used for pedophilia. Celebrities simply misleading them. How can you live with yourself knowing damn well that you deceiving them? Feeding them nonsensical bullshit for their mental, like it's cool to be famous when you know it's detrimental. Y'all convince them that it's hard work, dedication, and God. Last time I checked, we give all our praises straight to Yahweh. Hey, come on, the music is more than just vibes. Keeps us pushing forward every day of our lives. It's my 9 to 5 to do it and do it right. You know I gotta stay on the grind.
If deception was the only way that I could reach the me, I would stop rapping in a heartbeat. Music is a way of praising Father Yahweh Elohim, but Babylon tells you chase the dream. Infinite songs, but only 1/3 of it is living up to what it's supposed to be. Thank Elohim for the remnant who understands the power of music.
The fear of COVID got people so petrified. In one's life lies out and Satan choose a side. A lot of righteous haters try to play both sides. They lack faith and work so spirit stays penalized. I realize life is hard without the Most High, and he who knows there's much to learn is really wise. Mad grateful to be alive to see the sun rise. Try to stop my vibes, I'm exercising swords and arms. I'm in my prime, righteously prepared to shine and grind. So shock the surprise every time you analyze my rhymes. Cause orbits align with stars you can't even find. I spit that light that leaves chills up and down your spine. You coulda, woulda, but didn't. Who you kidding? And my fans frontin' forbidden. Who the fuck is you fibbing? You better think twice before you think I'm tripping on y'all children. If you feel hard, then we gonna make you harder. Hear it?
If deception was the only way that I could reach the me, I would stop rapping in a heartbeat. Music is a way of praising Father Yahweh Elohim, but Babylon tells you chase the dream. Infinite songs, but only 1/3 of it is living up to what it's supposed to be. Thank Elohim for the remnant who understands the power of music.
Feel like music influences your behavior or people's behavior?
If you allow music to do it, it's a difference. Like I said, there's people out here who could consume music one way and not, well, at least they feel that they're not affected by it. There's other people who live their life through music. Like anything that certain artists say is Bible to them.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
The mind of the soldier holds stars deep as an ocean.
He chosen focus, devoted to get a crown and a road with it.
Road is narrow and focused, you can tell by the way in which he flows with it.
None of these rappers, y'all opposes a lost soul in them.
Holding them all accountable for the music controlling them.
Countless of 100,000s of soulless people supporting them.
Righteous music accounts, most folks won't go to them.
Don't worry about it, cause Yahweh knows who the chosen is.
Shalom to them for constantly dropping projects for y'all to spin.
Food for the spirit, once you hear it, now you confident.
Daily battle fighting hard like we in a boxing gym.
Babylon ain't looking tall no more, she needs oxygen.
Got the win, still got motions floating that we got to live.
Positive, roller coaster, corporate, watch cooperative.
Jab now, cry later, just not with the consequence.
Zombies swelling in the dark, my direction where Yahweh is.
Destined for greatness, but not the kind that you thinking of.
Pointless being famous in a realm that the demons run.
Yet, you still got takers who making vibrations.
Elated eagles and cadences leave you feeling all vacant.
Cause Satan takes them and breaks them and makes them look real amazing.
They gazing phase in the matrix, embracing the fake and awaken.
The cake and bacon temptation persuades to change your foundation. If Yahweh in your brain, you'll end up this confabulation.
In the mix. 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 In the
mix. You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
In one's life lies out and Satan shoot aside. In one's life lies out and Satan shoot aside. In one's life lies out and Satan shoot aside. sides. A lot of righteous haters try to play both sides. In one's life, lies out and say your truth aside. In one's life, lies out and say your truth aside. In one's life, lies out and say your truth aside. A lot of righteous haters try to play both sides.
Yeah.
You've seen him, you know how strong he is.
Yeah.
You can't win!
You do your own research, you seek out the truth. You stand in your truth no matter what. Yeah. Shalom. Let's get it. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you. Keep on seeking truth. I had no choice, I had to make it. All them chances I kept taking on myself. All within, hide yourself, I channel him. Yahweh guiding me, how can I lose these niggas fools? Taking COVID jabs, I see right past the hokey doke. This shit the joke, just keep your third eye woke. Cause they will try to sleep you, but my vibration rising higher. Gonna gliding, wings are spreading, now I'm flying. Government spying, they trying to kill you off. One by one, agenda 21, 22, they keep hiding the truth. Open up your eyes, stand in your truth. Open up your eyes, keep on being you. Open up your eyes, stand in your truth. Open up your eyes, just keep on being you. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you. Keep on seeking truth, growing, awaken, vibration.
Let's go, brothers and sisters. Let's go.
I'm shedding, seeing everything with my third eye. You can't relate if you sleep. You a sheep, you can't see what's going on in front of you. You hypnotized by the TV. This shit getting crazy, pushing agendas. The truth is constantly hitting you, forbidden from waking up anybody. When you do, they silence it. Only way to get ahead is sell your soul. Once you jump down the rabbit hole, can't turn back. Open up your
Shout out to all the brothers and sisters throughout the U.S., UK, Canada, India, Russia, China, all the brothers out in Asia, South Africa.
Be your own man, use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you, keep on seeking truth. Use your own mind, be your own man. Use your third eye, gotta take a stand. Always walk by faith, fuck man what they say. Just always be you, keep on seeking truth.
Let's get that higher learning here at the Network of Awareness, giving all praises to the Most High in Christ, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father of that which is and always will be, our great Creator. All praises to the truth that is everlasting.
Trapped in a world where they don't want how you learn. No, they want everybody the same. Proper growth and development. Expanding my brain so I can learn what I can. All because of how you learning. Learning knowledge that I never thought I would. You get me, yeah. Cause of how you learning. They don't want nobody having that knowledge. Waking up in a different light, got my mind right. It took me time and time just to put it together. You know you not learning nothing when you second guessing. Because it all lies. They put us in school for 12 years plus. Got the nerve to give us a paper certificate. I've been watching quite some time. Finally, that I see what's going on. Every time that I lay down, yeah. I feel, yeah, sad.
I'll start out my morning run about 6 o'clock. Not like I got a choice. It's just
How you do?
It's rough.
How you do? Trapped in a world where they don't want how you learn. No, they want everybody the same. They don't want to see that proper growth and development. Expanding my brain so I can learn what I can. All because of how you learning. Learning knowledge that I never thought I would. You get me, yeah. Cause of how you learning.
Remember
a.m. Waking up to get to class. Now it be 5 a.m. I'm rising up to hit them laps. School never taught me to be this disciplined with myself. All praise to Yahweh, been Yahweh helping me with my health. The spirit keeps me up even though we all packed in the jungle. The elites be lying, they want you mentally trapped in a bubble. You see them smile on TV, always acting like they love you. Don't wanna see you rise up, they wanna see you ash and rubble. I keep my accent humbleness in hopes that the Lord will favor me even more, cause he's the one that has my number. He's been my guide, he's made me wise. He's all I know until the end, I'm gonna grind. Looking up to the sky, trying to stay righteous with the storm on my side. The crown of life is my why. I'm asking Father, please help guide me to the light.
Trapped in a world where they don't want how you learn. No, learn. No, they want everybody the same. Yeah, look at they don't want to see that proper growth and development. Expanding my brain so I can learn what I can. All because of how you learning. Learning knowledge that I never thought I would. You get me, yeah, because of how you learning.
All praises, baby. Yes, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for all those that were tuning in to the live broadcast on the Network of Awareness. Greatly appreciate the participation on the live broadcast today. Keep it coming. We're only getting better through the grace and through the power of the truth of the Most High. Plain and simple. Listen, I want to thank you, Brother Aban, for coming on to the show and providing great substance. Any final comments that you want to share for the listeners?
Well, you're welcome, brother. All praises to the Most High through Christ. And it was an honor and a privilege to come on the show and discuss this topic with you. So giving all praises to the Most High through Christ.
Yes, brother. Thank you again. And, this is just the beginning. So as we always do here in the Network of Awareness, when you live in the present, there is always an opportunity for a new beginning. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, brothers and sisters, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel with that spirit of the Messiah, that spirit that's holy, that spirit that's meaningful. Light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. This is Or the Informationalist saying, peace, love, and light, Barakatah, and shalom.
Shalom.
Add it up.